Good brother that I know, Jim, asked me to kind of give some practical understanding of how the system, the legal system operates, because it's all based on commerce. Remember, the legal is only commerce. A civil system is commerce, just like a civil lawsuit will always involve money. The world that you're surrounded in as a civilian in the civil world of man, in his imaginations of kingdoms, is based on money or the monetary system. It has nothing to do with spirituality. It's not spiritual. Secular is the opposite to that. So he asked me to give kind of a scenario on why you can't really capture these government securities in a sense and control them in a manner where you're going to make private gain out of the public title. So let's just take it in a very simple illustration. We'll do two scenarios. One, I'm pulled over by an officer. Okay, is he really going to believe who you say you are, or are you going to have to give him some government issued security ID? Well, we know he's going to ask you for government issued ID because he's not going to believe what comes out of your mouth. He's going to say, give me pieces of government issued legal ID. Therefore, there'd be no point you speaking because the government issued ID doesn't have your signature on it, other than if you're giving him a driver's license. But remember what came before the driver's license. The birth certificate security became before the driver's license. So if the birth certificate's no good, certainly the driver's license couldn't be any better. And if the statement of birth that the parents filled out's no good, well, then certainly the birth certificate that was used or created, so to speak, from the use of a Form 1 that the attending doctor filled out that only had the surname information, no given name on the child, and then basically they took the statement the parents filled out that unknowingly, ignorant of the fact, placed a given name that does not belong to the state, that's private property. The surname belonged to the state, and then they compared the two, and then they make this ambiguous, unclear certificate in order to basically operate a system that you're going to become the surety for. This is just a bond. It's backed by nothing, only by your faith and your suretying it. And then basically it operates in that manner, but it doesn't have your signature on it. So therefore, there's no point looking down the direction that you could actually take control of it, because everything you're going to do is going to require your signature. So you're just taking over. It's a takeover by adverse possession, what this already is. So let's take it into the banking realm as an illustration for a moment. You go to the bank. You don't go to the bank. We're just going to say my name is John Doe for a moment. Okay, because John's got the dough. And you need dough to make bread. So in their world, John, basically, with thinking, of course, that he has legal public claim to the government state legal surname title, he walks into the bank, and of course, he isn't able to say he's just John Doe and let's open a bank account. That's just not going to happen. They're going to want what? Government issued securities. It's security of their person, not your person. And then you're going to basically give them that. Well, if you had to give them that in order to get it going, how the heck could you be in control? This is what they're seeing first. So they're like a co-signer. The government's always the co-signer or co-surety for anything you've ever done. And then you end up being the sucker guarantor. But if the guarantor defaults, what happens to the cosigner? The cosigner always has to come in. That's how they run bankruptcy. You know, it's very interesting that you look at how bankruptcy happens. A bankruptcy says, oh, okay, I just can't pay it anymore. It's not someone withdrawing their private property out of the system. Bankruptcy in the legal system is just based on You ran out of money and you can't seem to pay the bills anymore. And guess who comes in? The government security cosigner has to come in to deal with it. And then for 9 months, you can't do anything. You're under bankruptcy protection while they clear up the security, the bond. And then 9 months later, you're right back into the same position you were before. This time you have 7 years bad credit. That's because you tried to kill Cain, who you were leaning on. That's the alien. Okay, so don't kill Cain and expect to execute Cain without repercussions. Anybody who touches Cain has 7 times comes against him. The banking system is operated by people who are no longer under the covenant of God. So they're not there to help you, okay? When you're intermingling, what they know is not part of their system. They know that you're just going to be the host to take over their debt. So when the bank basically gets the security, the government is always the real legal co-signer or co-surety. You're always acting as nothing more than the sucker guarantor. You took over the risk and you said you wanted to use this security that didn't belong to you because you weren't born with it. It wasn't tattooed on your body. Maybe soon it will be if you consent to be in there. But for the moment, it's not. And then you're just the guarantor for it. So you're always the guy they're going to be seeking for the bill. Now, if you don't want to be part of it at all, you have to stop placing your private consent in to surety the claim to the public title, because you're operating under the definition of assumpsit or assumptive. You're not the true legal trustee because you were not born a member to it. You've got to take the simplicity of this and look at it in reality. Very, very simple. I'm going to give you another example in the next video, and hopefully you'll understand that illustration.